Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning, folks. It's a wet Tuesday morning. On Panhandle Outdoors, we're going to catch up with technology now. We're going to show you our radar. Okay, Jeff? With our technology right here. Check this out, folks. Look at all the rain. This is coming off my phone here. It is all through up to Mariana, all the way down Mexico Beach, down to Cape San Blas. Pretty heavy. I woke up to it this morning, almost over to the Choctawhatchee Bay. That's our live radar on Panhandle Outdoors. Who needs all those fancy other gadgets? Our weather, of course, brought to us by Haney Technical Center at 767-5500. And that test of adult basic education, they're taking it today at 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So mark that down if you want to run by there. It's not cold. Right now it's 66 degrees, but it's not a heavy rain. It's just a real light rain. It's not a mist or anything, just a real light rain, but it's very steady. There's not big drops, but just remember the roads are going to be wet on the way to work, and we always talk about being careful, but you really got to think about it and be careful driving to work because those wet roads. And usually there are accidents on days like today, especially mornings when everybody's in a hurry to get to work. So just maybe leave a few minutes early and take your time and watch out for the other guy, watch out for those puddles in the road. It's 66 here, 64 Mariana, 63 in Funiac, and 61 in Apalachicola. And like I say, the rain is going to stay around off and on during the day and on into the night, and it's just in pockets, okay? We will have a cooling trend coming in tomorrow. We've got a 40% chance of rain today and a 40% chance of rain tomorrow. It's going to cool down. At first they were predicting 30s for the weekend, but now they've raised it up to 40, maybe low 40s by the weekend. So it's not going to be quite that cold, but it will cool off some when the front comes through. The winds right now will be coming out of the south, of course, with the rain and all. As soon as that rain gets out of here, it'll be switching around. But today it'll be 8 to 16 knots and seas 2 to 4. Our low tide this morning is 3:57 a.m. The high tide is 5:57 tonight. In St. Joe, low tide is 4:02 and high at 6:30. That takes care of our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. Take our first break and be back with our guest.
Bill Kramer Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC is Panama City's exclusive full-line dealership. Built on a 45-year foundation of trust and total customer satisfaction in all departments, including our huge pre-owned department, where we'll pay top dollar for your current automobile as a trade-in, or we'll place your vehicle on our lot and help you sell it. At Bill Kramer Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. 4 decades, 3 generations, 1 tradition.
Come join the Panhandle Outdoors team just in time for the holidays. Beat the rush and stock up on our team shirts and hats in a wide variety of colors and sizes. For your convenience, we offer a Panhandle Outdoors shop at panhandleoutdoors.net. Simply visit our website and click shop to bring in the holiday season. Be a member of the Panhandle Outdoors team, Florida's only live daily outdoor show.
Your vision is precious. If an emergency arises, you don't want to be sitting in a hospital waiting room. Accidents and injuries can happen outside of your workday. That's why our team of physicians provide emergency eye care to our patients anytime, day or night. You can count on your local experts in eye care to be there for you whenever you need us. The Eye Center of North Florida.
9 doctors, 1 vision, yours.
We are so lucky to live in North Florida. We have some of the best fresh and saltwater fishing in the world. My biggest problem is not catching fish, but trying to decide what kind of fish I want to catch. No matter what I'm after, I always stop at Sunjammers Water Sports first. They have just what I need: rods and reels, line, tackle, and most important, live bait. Yes, sir, we sure are lucky.
Welcome back. Always a familiar face, second Tuesday. Rick Corley, good morning.
Yeah, that's kind of tough to wake up to early in the morning.
Well, Rick is our resident boat expert. He knows a lot about boats, and we just like, we have all kind of, yesterday we had our bass guy on, Alan Courtney, and, all throughout a month we have different experts in the field, if you would. And Rick is always so willing to share the boat information. So many of us have boats and all. We like to know. We think we know a lot about boats. Rick, you were telling me last night about you working on some boat blisters, or what was happening there?
Yeah, I go to 3 seminars a year to try to stay up on all this stuff, and technology's moving pretty fast. So it's hard to stay up on all of it. On blisters, had a boat the other day that had they thought was a serious problem, and they caught it at the right time. And the boat had what they refer to as the pox, which is you get a blister here or there, you can fix those. Just like in the old days when you had a wood boat, you had a plank every once in a while go bad, or a Torito worms got in it or something, you replace that plank. Well, fiberglass boats, it's a good product to make a boat out of, but it's not perfect, and from time to time you'll get a blister. But every once in a while you'll get one that gets what they call a pox, where you've got so many little blisters that by the time you open one up and feather it out, you're into the next one. Okay. So the simple way to solve that problem is just peel the whole hull with like a planer. They have an electric planer that is set up just for doing this, and it takes about 18 mils off the outside edge of the boat, just enough to get the gel coat off. Open it up, allow the boat to dry. Once it's dry, then you can go back and fill those areas, fair them, and then you put a moisture barrier of epoxy primer and resin over that, and once you do that, you've made another watertight hull from moisture being able to get into the fiberglass laminates. And once you do that, then you go back with a couple of coats of bottom paint, anti-fouling paint, and you're back in business. And if you allow the boat, where a lot of people make a mistake on that is when they open it up, they immediately go back and start filling and fairing, and the boat hasn't dried. So you close the problem up to come back. So you got to allow the boat to get dry, and the only way to do that is to run a moisture meter test, see what you've got. And the driest point on the hull is going to be right where the hull to deck joint is, up near the shear on the hull. So you shoot that, that's your reference point with the moisture meter gauge. And then you go down and you let this boat dry until you get those same readings down close to the keel. When you do that, you've got your hull as dry as you're going to get it. And then that's when you go back and start fairing and filling, because now you're not closing the problem up, you've eliminated the problem. And probably won't have a blister then after that. And if you do, it'll just be one here or there.
What if somebody out there now, if they're looking at the boat, where would they look for those blisters? What part of the hull where most of them start showing, those little blisters start showing?
They'll show up below the waterline, of course.
Right below the waterline.
Right below the waterline and on down. And of course, one of the things that I do when a boat's hauled out if they're doing a haul out annually, is when I get out, I'll do a moisture meter reading right above the waterline. Well, you can't do it on the bottom as long as it's bottom paint, because the paint itself holds moisture, so it'll give you a false positive, as they say. You'll say, well, there's water in the hull. No, it's in the paint. So you can't do that, but you come right above the waterline and go around, and that area is nothing but gel coat, and it should be dry enough that it'll show a dry hull. If it does, you don't have a problem. If it doesn't, if it shows moisture up there, what it's doing is the moisture that's in the laminates is beginning to wick up in the side from the pressure on the hull. People forget that boat probably weighs, if it's a 40-something foot boat, it'll weigh 40,000 pounds, And you can carry in a 30-foot boat, if it's really saturated, you can carry a ton of water. Well, you got to pay the fuel to move that water because it's weight. Water weighs 8.3 pounds to the gallon.
Well, plus the safety factor of it too.
I had a boat that we dried out with the Coast Guard back this last summer, and when we got through, it was a 50-foot boat, and when they put it back in the water, they said, "That's funny." I said, "What?" It says the water line's 5 inches lower now than it was when we started out. I said, "Yeah, but we took almost 2 tons of water out of that boat."
Wow.
So, that's a lot of weight.
What about, we're talking about bottom paint. How many coats of bottom paint do you recommend?
If it's never been painted at all, you want 2 coats. And because when you put the first coat on, nobody's that good a painter that you're going to get every little pinhole. And all it takes, a barnacle, a Torito worm, he can find that pinhole of an opening, and he's going to attach. Now, he might not do any damage, but he's going to attach and he's going to be on your hull, and that creates drag. And if you get enough of them, a lot of people don't realize, you get enough barnacles or tube worms, as they call them, on the propellers, you lose 500 to 800 RPMs like that, and you think something's wrong with your engine. Nothing wrong with the engine. And, well, we got vibrations. Yeah, because you're messing up all the water flow around that propeller. Mm-hmm. You take it out, clean that prop, and that's one reason a lot of people around here will have a diver go under and clean the props about once every 4 to 6 weeks. Well, that keeps you where you can run, but I promise you, you leave it in the water 2 months and don't clean that propeller and don't run it, you're not going to run either.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We got a great picture of a big redfish here. Then we'll come back and talk more about winterizing your boat. So we'll be right back.
Captain's Cove Marina, designed with fishermen in mind. Easy access to the best fishing along Florida's Forgotten Coast. Deep sea fishing, fly fishing from a kayak, cruising endless miles of bayous, bays, and the intercoastal waterway. Count on the captain's crew to work hard to make your day on the water the best ever. Captain's Cove Marina, 1617 Grouper Avenue, Port St. Joe, 850-227-3357. When you're looking for sales, parts, and service for your outboard, all in one location, you're looking for BJ's Marine. You're authorized Tohatsu and Nissan dealer. BJ's Marine does it all. They have outboard parts and a service center and used motor sales too. Tohatsu, reliable, dependable, fuel efficient, and lightweight. Tohatsu Outboards, technology for the next generation. BJ's Marine, 1317 Transmitter Road, since 1991.
When you stop by Blue Water Outriggers, you will find everything for your outdoor adventure. Stock up on all your favorite brands and shop for some of the latest outdoor gear and accessories. You can also shop online and have your orders delivered straight to your home. Our flagship store is nestled right off the Highway 98 in the Port City Shopping Center, just steps away from the Port St. Joe Marina. You will love our selection, our prices, and our friendly service.
Coastal Grill, located in the heart of beautiful Port St. Joe, was established in 2002 by Patty and Dewey Blaylock as a family-owned coastal restaurant. In Port St. Joe, we meet at Sunset. Sunset's open for lunch and dinner every day of the week. Fresh seafood's brought in daily and served in a variety of traditional and creative ways. Try our award-winning gumbos. Steaks are grilled simple and perfect over an open flame grill. Our homemade soups, sauces, and salad dressings are so popular, we sell them retail. And don't forget, see the sunset at Sunset.
Welcome back. The first thing I want to do is wish good luck to the Chipley High Tiger football team. They'll be going down playing for the state championship down in Orlando, and I know those guys are excited. I know Coach Rob Armstrong personally. He's worked at Moser a couple of years. Great guy, really good football coach, obviously, and he's got to have some good players there too. So I know the whole community of Chipley and all of Washington County are excited about going down there. Let's hope this time your bus don't catch on fire. Just hope your team stays on fire. But they're going to be playing Monticello, Jefferson County. And Jeremy Brown's son is coaching over there, so it's going to be a great football game. And I wish y'all the best of luck. And that's a team representing the Panhandle, so we all want to be pulling for the Chipley Tigers on Friday night. We're going to be following y'all. And Rob, you do good luck to you, buddy. Okay, I got a nice picture, nice email from Fred Casal up there in Lynn Haven. It said, "Hello, Winston." Hello, Winston. I wanted to let you know how much I enjoy your show and to keep up the great work with it. I thoroughly enjoy watching it every morning. I have enclosed a picture of my friend Mike Surrett, who recently moved here from Boston to work at Tyndall. He caught this nice red drum for the Mexico Beach Pier this morning around 10 o'clock on cut chofa. It was 33 inches long without pinching the tail. We hooked in a total of 3 of them, all about the same size, but this is the only one we're able to bring to the pier. Mike's very happy to be down here in this area. Also, I'd like to ask you if you'll do a fishing tip of the day on a segment on sand fleas, how to find them, catch them. It'll be very helpful to a novice surf fisherman like me. And also, thank you very much for the working with Outdoors Community. Fred Casal from Farrell Lane out there in Lynn Haven. Thank you, Fred, and thanks for that picture. That's a nice redfish. And on your sand flea question on Thursday morning show, we'll do a little segment on catching sand fleas for you, okay? Anytime you folks have a request or something, if we can help you out on it and you want to share some of that stuff, we'll be glad to. So good deal on that. And we were talking about, getting back to boats now, Rick. I know you've worked with hundreds of thousands of boats and all. and seen a lot of them. One of the things that usually goes out, and I've had boats myself, a lot of times that transom. What can you tell us about a transom?
Well, depending on what the boat's made of, most transoms, even in the fiberglass, they'll take marine plywood.
Yeah.
Okay, and you close it up in there, and that's your coring structure. And one of the things you can do is what they call a tap test, where you can take a plastic coated ball peen hammer, and you can hear if that's going bad because it will sound hollow. Instead of getting that nice crack like you get with fiberglass, when you hit it, you'll get a very hollow sound. And of course, what happens especially if you got an outboard, that becomes weak, and you could, it has happened that motors just fell off the back of the boat because of it. That wood can get in there if it gets a little moisture in there from somewhere around the bolt holes or something like that where the motor's attached. Or in the inboard boat, sometimes where the exhaust goes through the stern, you can get a leak around there, and then it gets in, and that wood becomes rotten. If it's some boats, it's a coring material, and if it's like Encore balsa, for example, that once it gets wet, almost turns to just mud or muck, and it has no strength to it anymore. But one of the easiest ways is a tap test. If it's a steel or aluminum boat, I have an audio gauge machine which will tell me by the sound that when I read the gauge, it uses ultrasonic sound. And it can tell you how much steel is there and how thick it is and so on. So
now, will they put a steel hull over the wood also? A lot of times, in the
sometimes they'll put a steel plate, but no. Usually, if it's a fiberglass boat, it's either all fiberglass or it's got a wood core with fiberglass over. And that's the way most of them are, is plywood with fiberglass over. And a percussion test, which is tap on it with a hammer, will reveal most of it. You can also watch for indentions, things of that nature. If you got an outboard, a lot of times you can reach down to the bottom of the foot and wiggle it back and forth, and it's like a lever, and you can see if that back end's
if any kind of motion in it, then
if it's got any kind of motion in the back, you've probably got a problem.
And if you have that, then you got to take care of that right away.
Yes, you do, because if you don't, I mean, you got all that weight and that power back there, you can literally tear it off the back of the boat. So if you got that problem, you may have to put a new transom in. But there are places that you can get that done.
Yeah, and these are good tips. If you're looking at buying a good used boat, there are a lot of good buys now on used boats. You've probably seen some.
Yes, but I also seen some that you don't want to buy. You don't want to walk away from them. You want to run from them. I mean, yeah, right now it's a very good time to buy a boat. It is a buyer's market. The prices are down, but that's where I come in. You definitely want it surveyed. The insurance companies now have wised up, and most of them are saying, if the boat's 10 years old or older, you're going to have it surveyed. That's guaranteed if you've got insurance. If it's less than that, depending on what it's built of. But wood boats, always, they have to be surveyed. I don't care if they're brand new. The insurance company's going to require them now.
Yeah.
Steel boats, the steel or aluminum, it's recommended that 10 years after the boat's built, it should have an audio gauge done to it. In other words, you go all over the hull and see what's left. And then every 5 years after that, it should be audio gauged. Because if you have, let's just say you do a ship and it's got a 1-inch thick hull. If it's any place I find that is less than 3/4 of an inch thick, has to be cut out and inlaid new metal because it's gotten too weak. If it's a small area, real small, then you can put what they call a doubler. That doesn't increase the strength, but it'll make sure it's not going to leak. But if you've got any amount, you're going to have to, more than what they call maybe 5%. You're going to wind up having to go all over and cut out everywhere that's bad and put in new.
All right. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and tell you where you can maybe haul your boat out and do some work on it too. So we'll take our final break and be back in a minute.
This holiday season, give the gift of nature. A walk through nature, Florida's Emerald Coast, is the perfect gift for the nature lover on your list. Whether they live close by or far away, they will love seeing the beautiful seascapes, wildlife, and lighthouses that Florida's Gulf Coast has to offer. Only $14.95 plus $4.95 shipping at naturewalkdvd.com, or send check or money order to the address on the screen. A walk through nature, visually stunning.
It's
It's the one dream you never lost sight of. To own one place that truly inspires you. And one tractor that can help you handle it all. The versatile BX50 Series subcompact tractor from Kubota. It's the one.
See and save on all Kubota tractors and equipment at Sowell Tractor today.
The greatest investment we can all make is in the lives of our children and grandchildren.
To help you invest for retirement, handle your IRA rollover, protect your family with life or long-term care insurance. Call my dad for an appointment at his new office on Wilson Avenue behind Lowe's. And he'll give you a copy of his most recent book, 7 Steps to Serious Money. For free! Walter Woodrick, your Serious Money advisor!
My name's Captain Rick Corley. I'm a SAMS accredited Marine Surveyor, NAMS certified Marine Surveyor, and IAME certified Marine Investigator. Been surveying since 1969. Was taught by my father, who is the oldest, longest practicing Marine Surveyor in the world. We do all types of survey, commercial or pleasure. Steel, aluminum, fiberglass, wood, makes no difference. Give us a call at 850-527-5287 or visit us online. We'd appreciate your visits.
Welcome back. First, let's look at our Express Lane Fish and Game forecast in this segment, brought to us by Express Lane, American owner operated, 8:29 a.m. to 10:29. This morning will be excellent if that rain will give us a break, and this evening from 8:51 to 10:51. That is tonight. If you want to go do something outdoors tonight, it'll be a good time to do that. We're sitting here talking about, and so many of us have these boats anywhere from 16 to 24 foot, and I'm as guilty as anybody. But we're talking about waxing a boat, I'm telling you, I'd be willing to pay somebody to come wax mine. But anyway, you say there are people doing that.
Yeah,
that will do
yeah,
that.
that's craft clean, and if I'd have known, I'd have brought you a list. There's several companies.
Well, we'll talk about that next time about how to wax it. But you say how many times a year should you do it?
Minimum once, and at least once a year, you need to take and use a good UV protected wax on the boat. And that's something you can do when you take it out of the water. If you go to store it for the winter and you're not using it a lot, that'd be a good time to clean the boat, compound it, and put a good coat of wax on it. When I had my big boat, I would always have it waxed in the wintertime, and then again about midsummer, usually about the end of July, because the sun's getting more direct and all. I would have it waxed again. If you don't, that's okay. These shipyards like you, because sooner or later when that gel coat begins to die, you're going to either have to re-gel coat or you're going to go in and do what they call all grip painted.
Yeah.
Which is, it looks as good as gel coat and does the same thing, and it's a little bit cheaper, but it's still over $200 a linear foot. So.
Well, you speak of taking a boat out. I know Danny Rafffield down there at Captain's Cove right there at the Highland View Bridge. I was talking to him the other day, and a good friend of ours, Jack Simmons, over there, Bill Kramer, he's got a good deal on a nice boat, and he's taking his boat down there and got it in dry storage, and he's going down there on weekends, working on it. That's an ideal situation to have a boat yard to go down there and work on it. So if you have a situation like that, keep Danny Rafffield in mind at Captain's Cove.
Yeah, because down around St. Joe, you don't have a lot like we do here. So Danny and them do good work.
And another thing now, we're talking about fuel. How important to get rid of that old fuel.
Yeah, well, and especially if you can avoid it, stay away from the ethanol. Most of the marine, I don't know of any marina here that's using ethanol fuel, but it's terrible on the fuel lines and things of that nature. And if you got fiberglass fuel tanks, absolutely do not use it, because we found Kenny Weinbreck and I had to do one up in New York, and we found the problem and made the industry aware of it, that it literally gets into the glass and breaks down some of the MEK, and it makes a gunk. It's almost pure brown, and it will ruin an engine. Totally ruin an engine fuel system. And so don't use ethanol, and get a stabilizer like Stabil or something of that nature if it's gassed. If it's diesel, hammer down or some kind of BioGuard, and keep your fuel tanks full If you're winterizing, which around here we don't do a lot of that because it doesn't get that cold, but if it's going to freeze, you need to drain all the water out of your tank, fill your fuel tanks, because then the water, you don't have condensate. And put a stabilizer in them or a BioGuard if it's diesel, and that will take care of your fuel problems for the winter. The other is you want to get the water out of the water heater, the water tanks, and in the head, bathroom on a boat for you ladies, in the toilet, just put a little bit of antifreeze in the water there so that it won't freeze and break that. Things like that. All your lines, you should wash them and lay them out, flake them, let them dry, and then put them away.
Yeah, and by all means, there's a large segment of people here in the Panhandle that do a lot of scalloping and fishing and all in the summer and spring, and then they sit that boat up for the winter. By all means,
put a cover over it.
Well, exactly. Put something over because of the sun and all, getting into that fiberglass.
You got two enemies here. You got salt air and salt water that is working on all of the metal parts and all the electrical parts. But the sun is working on your vinyl, leather, or your fiberglass. And it's a very hostile environment. It's tough on boats.
And make it a rule of thumb, I do this too, during Christmas break, sometime during Christmas break, if you haven't run your motor in a while, get out there during Christmas break and just run your motor. Try to get out on the water and just run it some.
If it were me, I'd get a set of muffs if you got an outboard or some means to get water to it, because it has to have cooling on any engine. But I would run that engine every 10 days to 2 weeks. And that way, when it comes spring, you get ready to use it, it'll work. If you don't, they'll make a shellac, especially in a low-speed jet in a carburetor.
Yeah.
And it won't crank. Your boat won't run. You get out there and turn it, and in fact, I promise you it won't run if you don't crank it every
Marine mechanic told me that 80% of the problems he gets in there are something to do with the carburetor.
Yeah. Well, and the fuel is not as good as the
carburetor.
It will varnish, and it won't work. It'll gum them up.
All right, Rick, we got to wrap it up, but that's some good information and all. Yesterday we had bass fishing. Today we had boat. Tomorrow we're going to have a good video on shooting. So we're going to hit the whole gamut, and then Thursday we'll do the video on sand fleas, and Friday will be time for the fishing forecast. So thank you all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Thank you for inviting us into your home, and you do something good for somebody today, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.